Today's meditation is titled Inviting Wilderness, because the wilderness trek that we must make is vital to our understanding our role in the cosmos. We're not going to be able to find our calling unless we can find our way in the wilderness. And this talk is an extension of a meditation that I did on how I learned to meditate. And it was a seminal point in my life, which took place after many years of struggling with the idea of meditation and the technique of meditation and the results of meditation, which were very problematic because I tried for a very long time to find meditative success and I never could. The questions of breath and posture and pose were overwhelming and I never made progress as such. But I was persistent, and I am persistent. And what I have been doing for some time now is a different kind of meditative technique. And I've explained it in the past, but I'll go over it again real quickly because it's important in understanding how to invite wilderness into our lives. So as I said, I meditated in all kinds of ways and all sorts of styles for a very long time with little success. And one day, many years ago now, I was meditating and I was seeing myself in front of me, sort of cinemagraphically, meditating. So it was the image of me meditating that I was seeing in my meditation. And at some point, that began to really frustrate me. Like, why am I looking at myself meditate? And so I thought, well, why don't I just be myself meditating? Why do I have to capture this image in this way? And so I thought, well, I'm going to move that image inside of myself, which is what I did. And it happened very quickly. The decision made and the act done were fast. And so I just sort of grabbed that image and I took it and I put it inside of myself. I moved it inside of me. And the result, the immediacy of what happened was startling. It was overwhelming. It was highly physical. There were goosebumps. There was all sorts of things happening to me as I became myself meditating. It was an integration of myself with myself that I didn't know that I needed, but I could see. And it was then, upon seeing and understanding, that it became important to do, to become myself meditating. And it has continued to be that way almost every time that I've meditated. Those same kinds of sensations occur. But what I want to talk about now is a different kind of, or a next step in meditation, that is the wilderness. And it's really important that we make our wilderness trek in order to be more certain of our place in the world around us, to be more certain of our manifestation, and to be more sure of our calling that exists out there in the wilderness. And so I've meditated outside, and in the past I've done some journey work and drum work, and it's been extremely successful. So I've really liked it, but I haven't felt as comfortable with it as I had wanted. And so I've made the next step, which was in my meditation, inviting wilderness to be in me. Inviting the wilderness in the same way that I invited the image of myself in. But it occurred in a little different way. The wilderness did not, as such, move inside of me. But rather what happened is that my imagining of my own physical limits changed. So I was not just meeting reality with my skin, where skin was meeting reality and you could tell the difference. You could tell the difference. I could tell the difference between the end of my skin and the air. I kind of knew that difference. And it was a very clear, stark difference between me and the outside. Well, when I invited the wilderness in, that changed in a delightful way. And what happened is that my skin, my contact with the manifested world, expanded. And so I began to move outside of myself, outside of my normal skin parameters, to become more integrated, to reach farther out into the ethers, to out into the sunlight, into the clouds, as I began to stress. I began to stretch. That was the right word. I was stretching myself. I was moving out, encompassing more of the natural world, more sensations, more hearings, more smellings, more light beaming in, hitting my eyelids. And that expansion has been extremely powerful because it has kept me from becoming a little shriveled being, crouched and small and not able to reach out beyond it myself. And this meditation, this wilderness meditation, has allowed me to reach beyond myself. Now, I'm not necessarily discussing here the contact with other beings that also inhabit the wilderness. They are the visible beings and the invisible beings. And I'm not talking about connection with them, at least not this time. But I'm talking about being larger in the wilderness, being more present, being bigger, being more able to undertake journeys, voyages, treks, to walk around in the wilderness and to see what's there, to feel as though I'm a welcome voyager in the reality that is this earth, this cosmos. So I want you to experiment with that if you like. I hope you will. I hope you will give me a report on whether or not you were able to venture beyond yourself, to go beyond where you think you are, and to find yourself in a different experience than you thought you might. And I think that's the thing about finding our calling. It's a real different experience than we think we were going to have. Our calling is really very different. And it doesn't necessarily get to be understood by other people. I think that, in my case, I feel like my calling is quite small. I don't feel a movement, in the work that I do. But I feel connection. I feel connection with you in my ability to then expand my presence. Can I reach out to where you are? Can I begin to understand the nature of the reality you're experiencing? Sympathetically? Empathetically? And that ability to sympathize, as I've spoken about many times before, is the key to expanding our calling. Sympathy is the beginning of love. And so I urge you then to find sympathy with the wilderness, to engage the wilderness, to spend time expanding who you are so that you can partake of more wilderness than you could ever imagine. Amen.